Japan has roughly 9 million vacant homes. Australia counted more than 1 million unoccupied dwellings on census night. London has over 100,000 homes officially recorded as empty. Yet Tokyo, Sydney, and London can still feel desperately short of housing. That sounds impossible. An empty home and an available home are not the same thing. Some are empty for a night. Some are hundreds of miles from the jobs. Some cannot realistically be lived in at all. So where are all these homes? Housing shortages create a strange statistical contradiction. Residents see rents rising, families compete for apartments, and governments announce programs to build hundreds of thousands of homes. Then another statistic appears: millions of empty homes. The obvious reaction is to assume we don't need to build anything. Bringing habitable, long-term vacant properties back into use can add housing, but the headline vacancy number contains many different types of property.
Vacancy is a statistical category, while availability is a market condition. One counts buildings, the other measures how effectively those assets serve the economy. London provides a baseline, because both sides of the contradiction exist in the same city. Recent official data records approximately 105,000 empty homes. If a city suddenly received 100,000 additional apartments, it would change the market. This breakdown shows how that headline number opens up. Some properties are newly completed, being sold or held as second homes. The long-term empty category is much smaller, roughly 47,000 homes. That is a real housing issue, but returning every one of those properties to use would not erase London's shortage. A housing market is a moving system. Every year, new households form, workers arrive, and families move. This requires spare capacity. Imagine a hotel with exactly 1,000 rooms and exactly 1,000 guests every night. It has a zero vacancy rate, but a new guest cannot book a room until someone leaves. Rental housing works the same way. Zero vacancy prevents people from moving and keeps landlords from repairing units between tenants. Some vacancy is necessary flow. The problem is whether enough homes are available and correctly located for households searching right now. This graphic illustrates a bedroom mismatch. A vacant house in an expensive neighborhood cannot solve the needs of a minimum wage worker. A one-bedroom apartment does not solve the needs of a family with 3 children. A housing unit can physically exist without participating in the specific market segment where the capital and the shelter are needed. Australia demonstrates why methodology matters. Despite intense housing affordability pressure, the 2021 census recorded over 1 million homes as unoccupied. This comparison shows what happens when methodology changes. The census measures a single moment. On census night, people travel, homes are being renovated, and tenants change. When the Australian Bureau of Statistics checked administrative records and electricity usage, only around 1.3% of dwellings showed no sign of recent use. Under statistical snapshots, a turnover rental, a holiday home, and a truly abandoned house can all appear vacant. Only the abandoned house represents persistent, unused housing capacity. The phrase 1 million empty homes is an accurate snapshot of a single night, but it is a crude metric for measuring permanent, unused supply. Japan's data is even more extreme. It has 9 million vacant dwellings and a 13.8% vacancy rate. This is a structural crisis driven by an aging population and inherited, unused houses known as akiya. This map highlights a geographic mismatch. A vacant house in a shrinking rural town does not solve an apartment shortage in Tokyo.
A worker needing to reach a city hospital cannot move hundreds of kilometers away just because a cheap house exists. Many of these houses also face a condition problem. They need seismic upgrades, new electrical wiring, and modern plumbing before they are habitable. A house advertised for a symbolic price can still require tens of thousands of dollars to become a modern home. Even with a declining population, housing demand depends on households. An aging demographic leaving rural houses, while young adults migrate toward major cities, creates millions of vacant homes in one region and a severe shortage in another. Ireland's statistics show a similar data collision. The 2022 census identified 160,000 vacant homes nationally, but narrow electricity meter data puts the estimate closer to 70,000 homes. Both numbers offer insight, but vacant housing in rural Ireland cannot substitute for a desperately needed apartment near jobs in Dublin. A census identifies if a property had occupants on a specific night. Electricity data indicates meaningful use over time. These methods answer different questions, and neither tells you if a family could actually move in tomorrow. New York City represents the opposite extreme. The 2023 Housing and Vacancy Survey estimated the net rental vacancy rate at approximately 1.41%. This gauge shows what a genuinely tight rental market looks like. It creates extreme friction, rapid competition, strict qualification requirements, and long search times for renters. If a city hit 0% vacancy, the system would break. Families could not upgrade to larger homes, workers could not relocate for jobs, and residents displaced by repairs would have nowhere to go. Ultimately, the true economic goal is a housing market with enough available inventory to allow its residents to realistically move. We classify empty housing into 7 distinct types: turnover vacancy, new builds, sale vacancy, second homes, renovation, long-term usable vacancy, and structural vacancy. Only long-term usable vacancy is directly relevant to policies returning empty homes to the market. The rest represent natural market movement. This graphic models a price mismatch. A luxury segment can have available inventory, while ordinary renters compete for cheaper units. For those renters, the effective vacancy rate is still 0. Size, quality, and ownership also create barriers. A structurally sound building covered in scaffolding is a housing unit that physically exists but is economically unavailable. Treating every home as available inventory ignores the physical and financial reality of parked capital. Returning these units to use involves negotiation, taxation, and investment. This graphic separates the noise from the reality. The total number of vacant dwellings, the number of genuinely unused dwellings, and the number of homes available to the specific households in need are 3 different figures. These cities teach us different lessons. London shows long-term vacancy differs from the headline. Australia exposes the flaw in census snapshots. Japan proves population decline creates geographic disconnection. Ireland shows how definitions alter totals. And New York shows the damage of 0 spare capacity. Reusing existing stock and building new stock solve different parts of the same shortage. Returning empty properties to the market is a vital policy, but it does not erase the structural need for new homes. A city only solves a housing shortage when its units are usable, available, and appropriately located. For an economy, an empty home is a wasted resource and an asset that isn't working. We ask how much money a city has and where that money is actually working.